Live from the Akrs Broadcast Center, inside of Memorial Stadium, it's the Nebraska Athletics AD Show with Troy Dannon.
Hannah Cammonson leads off against Pickens, and the right-hander's first one. Cammonson swings, lifts one to center, fairly deep. Fiedler all the way back. It's gone! Home run, Hannah Cammonson! 3-1 Nebraska! Line by Bull for 1-2. Clark swings and misses. She's down on strikes. The fifth strikeout of the game for Jordy. One gone in the seventh.
Horn has the sign. He comes set. And the 3-2 pitch. Popped up. Playable. Shallow left. Carey makes the call. Backing up. And he makes the catch on his 118th pitch. Ty Horn has 8 shutout here in the championship. Dice has the sign. He collects the 3-2 pitch. Strike 3 called. Casey Dice finishes it for Nebraska. The dog pile is on. The Nebraska Cornhuskers have run the table and run it back. Back-to-back Big Ten tournament champions.
Here is your host, Jessica Coody, on the Huskers Radio Network.
And welcome in, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. We've got a fun hour ahead as the athletic director, Troy Dannon, here with us over the next hour. Got so much to get to here over the next 55 minutes or so. But Troy, thank you for being here with us again. What a weekend it was over the weekend.
Yeah, it was. I was in Knoxville and just an amazing series and so well played. It was just great softball, and we're close, right? And you hate being close, but really proud of what softball accomplished this season. And I sent Rhonda a text afterwards. I said a lot of things to celebrate, even more to anticipate, because there's a lot in store for softball next year. And then as much as the baseball team watched the softball game during the rain delay, we're all kind of sitting on our phones trying to stream the baseball game because, believe it or not, the Big Ten Network was not available in Knoxville, Tennessee.
What?
So we were watching on our phones, and just what an exciting weekend. And the guys got that big break on Monday night last week in the drop fly ball and took great advantage of it. And that is the mark of greatness in a lot of ways. When somebody opens the door, do you walk in or do you shut it yourself? And they really took advantage of it. So neat. And I was in Knoxville, so I didn't get a chance to get to the tournament, but to see the fans and how many of them and hear about the noise and hear what the guys thought about the noise. Great experience for Memorial Weekend all the way around.
What can you say about the job that Will Bolton and his coaching staff did? I mean, going back to back, but the way that, there were kind of some shaky times at the beginning of the season, but boy, this program, they continued to fight and to go on the run that they did to bring home another trophy.
Yeah, it's 3 and 5 years for Will. Done a really good job here. I think expectations was high at the beginning, losing your Friday night starter, tends to do more than just mess your Friday nights up, right? It messes with your Saturdays, your Sundays, as well as you reset your lineup. And I think in hindsight, that West Coast swing of being out for, I think, 11 nights was tough. And as we saw against 2 of the 4 NCAA teams in the Big Ten. But, once we got midway through the Big Ten season, I don't think he lost a series on the way home. And, of course, this week, I think what happened in Omaha is a great testament to, when you look at a program, are things in good shape by, how's the locker room? Where are the guys at mentally? And I think you learned a lot about how good a shape his program is in by where those guys were mentally ready to play. And it wasn't just our Friday night starter. We lost a couple of other guys to injury during the course of the week, and somebody else came in and stepped up. And, of course, Ty on Sunday was just an absolute animal. But, going back, we gave up, 0, 3, 3, and maybe 4 or something like 5, I think, to Michigan State. But Rob had his guys ready. When it mattered the most, he has his guys ready, and 3 games in 2 days ready. So, heck of a performance, and it tells you a lot about the resiliency. Everybody throws around the word grit. But again, we took advantage of the opportunity, and everybody stepped up. Everybody up and down stepped up.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned softball. What a year for them to get back to the Super Regional for the first time since 2014. They go 43-15, set all kinds of attendance records, all kinds of offensive records. I mean, and you mentioned it, a lot of these players coming back, and I think they learned a lot from just this postseason run and what they were able to gain from winning and advancing from a regional to the super regional?
Yeah, it's the Tennessee pitcher is something else. It's something you don't see, and we got some hits. First day we got them at the right time. Second and third day maybe we didn't get them at the right time. But I think the thing that impressed me most, and everybody talks about Jordy, and I guess I will too, but she's about as intimidating of a student athlete as I've been around in 18 years. And I don't mean that in any way but a good way, in that she just has a presence and aura about her that commands excellence from everybody that's around her. And so I think you saw a lot of players elevate their game, but it almost felt like, just being around her a little bit, it almost felt like you're forced to elevate your game. And great credit to Rhonda. Rhonda's been a part of everything that's great that's ever happened to Husker softball from her time as a player and on through. And she's gone through some grief, and to come out of it and be able to enjoy this and get back climbing that mountain, and nearly to the top this year. And we're really happy for Rhonda, really happy for her staff, and I think the Husker softball team won a lot of fans the last couple of weeks from people that either didn't get a chance to get out to Haymarket and watch them, or just casual softball fans.
We'll find out this week if Jordy is the National Player of the Year. She's one of 3 finalists. You had mentioned her being one of the more intimidating, but just overall, just impressive athletes. Where does she rank among all the athletes you've been able to watch throughout your career?
Well, the other 2 candidates for Player of the Year, one's a great pitcher and one's a great hitter, and Jordy may well be the equal of both of them at their respective skills. It's rather unheard of, and to do it this year coming off the ACL, you never know, mentally, physically, but to rehab coming off of that says a lot about her mental game. There were a lot of stories that came out down there that, and I'm not close to the softball program on a day-to-day basis necessarily any more than I am any other sport, but just some of the things that, from she's loading the luggage on the bus to telling the coaches, you don't do this. This is what we do for you, and just creating a culture, and or enhancing a culture, I guess, where maybe a pretty good one's already present. So, really impressive individual, and we have a lot of them. We've had 4 individual national champions this year, and Jordy, and in my mind, she is the National Player of the Year. It's like Lexi was a National Amateur Athlete of the Year, right? And we had that in men's gym and bowl. We have a great wealth of individual skill here, and the coaches have done a good job of building talented rosters around elite individual skill, which is why we're having the year we're having.
Another postseason team, track and field, headed to regionals this week, and then in 2 weeks we'll head to the NCAA championships. Got, once again, number of student athletes expected to compete for national titles. Now that you've been here and you've spent some time with him, what have you learned about Justin St. Clair and the job that he does leading that program that allows for them to continue to be in this kind of conversation?
Well, there's probably not a better throw jump coach, in the country than Justin, and that shows up in, I think we scored all but 2 of our points at the Big Ten on the men's side on the field events. And we had an elite runner who scored over 20 points himself that transferred at semester and left and went to new school where he scored 20. So, great coach, great person. Again, I'm a culture guy. You say what you want about money, but the culture of the track team and having to satisfy, there's 100 athletes on the roster between the men and the women, and they practice all different times during the day and dependent upon class availability, and the head coach isn't necessarily out there with the 800-meter runners and the sprinters and the decathletes and the jumpers, and so to manage all of that and still keep a good positive culture, he's done a wonderful job. And if he's not the best coach in the Big Ten, I'm not sure who is. I've described him as pound for pound. Maybe the best coach that nobody knows about, not much about on our roster because he doesn't, or on our staff rather. He doesn't really point to himself and brag a whole lot, but he's done a wonderful job. And I think the men will go with aspirations of being in the top 5. The women, I think, are hoping top 10, top 12 is legitimate for them, and that's really remarkable when you think the last few years, they haven't had a track in order to host a home meet. Now they will next year. The Big Tens are here, but he's done a wonderful job.
So track and field fully expected to add to the points total for the Athletic Directors Cup standings, and Nebraska has a chance to finish even better than last year and best finish since 2010, and fully expecting again that track and field program to add to that point total. Now that we're winding down on a year and you have had so much success with so many programs, how do you reflect on the year as a leader of this program?
Well, in a way, this is your first full year, and so now this becomes my baseline of expectations for what we can be, and now let's figure out if this is our floor, where do we go from here? I think we have a really, really impressive stable of coaches here. I don't know if people always give enough credit to the quality of coaches we have, and some of them have been around a long, long time. Some are relatively new, but a good mix. I would say they represent the state. For as I know the state or know the Upper Midwest, I think they represent us as you would hope a coach would represent us. They bring athletes in here that fit Nebraska, and I think we recruit a lot of Nebraska kids, and that's a good thing to do because at the high school level, and I knew this coming in, but I've seen it, our high school coaches in Nebraska do a really remarkable job of coaching and skill development. And so while most, you see a lot of places where the athletes come in and then it's, okay, we got to build them up. Here, the athletes, the quality of athlete is high. They can come in here and be skilled enough and have been trained and coached well enough that they're ready to go right off the bat. And Jordy's a great example of that as a high school native here. So I'm really proud of everything that's happened. Academically, we also set records. I know a lot of people will, and it's going to be that way, are going to judge your athletic department based on how football happened. There's 500 athletes here. All 500 of them, our job, Tyler Kai sitting next to me, watching over me to make sure I don't say anything I'm not supposed to. But, our job is to make sure all 500 athletes get the same experience, have the same opportunity for success. And that's really, really important, and probably more important to us maybe than it is to some other people, unless you have a particular bias for a sport. But I think, with football getting to the bowl game, but everything else, I think we're in a great position right now. And I also think the neat thing is if you look into next year, I would guess all of our coaches would tell you that they have expectations at least as high next year as to what happened this year.
That's exciting. You had mentioned the stable of coaches. You're adding to it. We got a new head women's golf coach, Brianne Hall, coming in to take over the helm there. Tell us about her and why she's a good fit for what you got going on here at Nebraska.
Well, we're going to be calling her Bree.
Okay.
She's done a couple of things. One, she started a program from scratch and had some success, and then went to Illinois State and in the Missouri Valley, and I was in the Valley at Northern Iowa. Illinois State's a great job. It was always maybe the aspirational program, but what she's done with it in 3 straight championships, I think they won by 31 this year in the conference championship, got better and better and just absolutely dominated. And so came in, took a program who has had success historically, and then built it into a 3 consecutive time champion. Well, that's Nebraska women's golf. We've had some historical success, not so much in the last maybe post-COVID, but she's done what needs to be done here. And when you look for coaches, a lot of times resumes are one thing, but have you done what needs to be done at the institution you're going into? Matt Rule is a program builder, and you need a program builder at the time that he came in. And so Bree, she's taken programs that have had success, maybe aren't having it right now, and built it into wins. And I think for me personally, her recruiting philosophy, which, in golf and tennis, a lot of international student athletes around the country. But she's found Midwest kids that can thrive and want to play in the climate that we get. I think everybody she met with, she just kind of blew the doors off of us, both with her personality, her experience, and her blueprint for what lies ahead. And golf should be added to the list of sports that can compete in the top for the Big Ten championship and in the postseason for us, and those are her goals as well.
So I was going to ask you that about when you go into a coaching search, is it completely separate each one, or are there certain qualities you're looking for in each coach that you bring in?
Totally separate each one, because the time and place, circumstance maybe dictates a certain profile. My bias historically has been to hire a head coach, somebody that has head coaching experience. That doesn't mean that I haven't hired assistants but I do look for coaches who've done it, who've proven it, and maybe learned some of those lessons and kind of got that out of the way before, especially coming to Nebraska. It's not a time to learn how to be a head coach when you get here. So that experience is invaluable. And then I go back to Danny, and I thought the thing that separated Danny and when we had this discussion was the fact that as an assistant, she left a very comfortable assistant's job where she might have one day just expected to step into the chair and went out and learned how to be a head coach and built a program on her own. And so she was much more prepared to come back here. And in Bree's case, we had some really good candidates that we talked to. But the fact that she's been a head coach, I think, prepares her more for what lies ahead. And this is a tumultuous time. We talk about the revenue share and everything else that's roster limits changing in college athletics. It's not just football. It affects every sport. And so you want somebody who's not going to be awed by what they're walking into at a Big Ten school.
Great stuff. All right, we got to get to a break here on our AD hour, but keep it here. We got lots more to get to here with Troy Dannon over the next 40 minutes or so. The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field.
Hi, I'm Tom Osborne, former football coach and co-founder of the Teammates Mentoring Program.
And I'm Des Moines Adams, Husker black shirt and CEO of Teammates Mentoring.
We're recruiting teammates mentors and need caring adults to be in the lives of our students.
Meeting with a student once a week at the school can make a positive impact in their life and have a ripple effect in our communities.
Please join our team.
Go to teammates.org today.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
Husker fans, it's game day, and Pizza Hut's got your perfect play. Score the game day special for just $29.99. Get 2 medium 3-topping pizzas, 8 boneless wings, and 5 breadsticks. Enough to feed 8 hungry fans. Pizza, wings, breadsticks, and more. It's the ultimate lineup to fuel your game day. Check out the full menu online at pizzahut.com or in store. Because remember, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Elevate your drive in your new vehicle from Woodhouse Lincoln. Explore our current offers going on now. Lease the 2025 Lincoln Aviator for $998 a month for 36 months and 10,500 miles per year. Shop in store at 144th and Giles Road or online at woodhouselincoln.com. With approved credit, tax, title, license extra, security deposit waived, $3,000 down payment plus first payment and $299 doc fee due at sign-in. VIN number 5LM5J7XC2SGL 13016. Offer expires May 31st, 2025. See dealer for details. For farmers, sustainability is a way of life. 97% of farms are family-owned, and 95% are participating in conservation programs and using sustainable practices.
I'm Ann Meese, a farmer near Elgin, Nebraska. I grew up on this land, and we're dedicated to being good stewards and leaving it better for the next generation.
Since 1980, U.S. soybean farmers have boosted production by 130%, all while lowering emissions and improving land and water use. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Your Midwest Ford dealers believe value should drive everything we do. And with employee pricing, you pay what we pay. For 11 days only during the Memorial Day Sell-a-thon, the deals are even bigger. Get employee pricing on Ford's best-selling trucks and SUVs. But hurry, this value-driven offer is only during the Memorial Day Sell-a-thon. Get employee pricing and 0.9% APR plus $3,000 cash on a Ford F-150. But hurry, it all ends June 2nd. Go to your Midwest Ford dealers today. Driven by value.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Hey Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Welcome back to our Nebraska Athletics Director Hour with Troy Dannon. I'm Jessica Coody, and Coach got a couple, Coach, look at me, I've done that before. It's just a habit, right?
I've been called a lot worse.
We have a couple of texts rolling in for you on the text line, and Jeff in Omaha wants to know, do you know how many tickets Husker fans have purchased for the game at Arrowhead Stadium?
Yeah, I think last count we were over 62,000 that first week, 50,000 sold, and that said, I don't even know what Arrowhead holds, but we didn't sell nearly all of our allotment for the bowl game, and then when we got to Yankee Stadium, it was full of red, and so Husker fans sometimes don't buy through us; they find other ways, ingenious ways to get their hold of tickets. So I would guess we'll see a lot more, but 62,000 is the number I know as of now.
Awesome. Well, do want to get into some volleyball ticketing, but before we do, we have some more football ticket information that came out today. Remaining season tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m., and then we've also got the 3-game mini pack going on sale as well. 3-game
mini packs, and I think we'll get start times for those early games, hopefully this week. So there should be a lot of football news coming. I don't think we'll have many season tickets left. The building last year, I believe, Tyler, we had 66,000 season tickets and change. And then you add this nearly 7,000 student season tickets, gets you to about 73. And we're required to hold 3,000 back for the visiting team. That gets you to 76. The rest are single game sales, and they end up getting gobbled up. Sometimes they go to a broker, and sometimes they all sell. But I would guess we'll push the entire building on season tickets this year.
So again, they go until tomorrow at 10 a.m. Those remaining season tickets, Huskers.com/tickets, and then the 3-game mini plans will go on sale on June 10th. So sticking with the ticket info, I know that there was some information that went out regarding volleyball reseating, and we have had a few questions come in about that. Can you take us through the decision there and just what the process is going to look like for fans that have some of those seats?
Yeah, I would say just in general, reseating of venues happens for a lot of reasons. Typically, it happens every 7 to 10 years, and in general, what it allows you to do is new donors that are continuing to give. It allows them opportunities to come in and get access and reap the rewards of their gifts. And it hasn't happened here since we left the Coliseum, and I think as a result of that, we've got a little bit of gridlock inside the building. Just a couple of examples. We have a donor who gave north of $100,000 the year before I got here, north of $100,000 in hopes of getting volleyball tickets and didn't qualify. And that's because someone who'd given money maybe 20 years ago in football had actually qualified before they did. And so the reseating addresses things like that. And then last year, volleyball renews at an obscene rate. Market standard, 80% would be great. We're somewhere around 96, 97%.
Wow.
Last year, we had 2,300 people wanting to buy tickets, and we had 40 season tickets became available. So, it also frees up some tickets. And then the third thing, and it's particularly timely for us because we'll see it in the football stadium as well. When you go through a construction project and you modify the manifest and modify the seats, it almost forces you to do it. And so a couple things will happen in the John Cook Arena after this upcoming season. One, the temporary walls, the plywood that's back behind the team benches up high, that covers some of the old treads from when basketball was played in the building. Those temporary walls will come down, the standing room only seats will go away, and seats will be put on those treads. That should add close to 12 to 1,300 seats. We'll push, I don't know that we'll quite get to 10,000, but we'll push 10,000 in there. So one, going to open up a lot of seats. And secondly, we're going to put chairbacks in that lower A level where it's bleachers right now. And so as we'll see with football, when you put a chairback instead of a bleacher, you get many fewer chairbacks in one row of bleachers than you do seats on a bleacher. So it'll force some of that. I'm sure the students will get relocated as a part of it. It's probably nothing you can do that causes more consternation and angst and anger, and it's visceral. But at the same point in time, it needs to be done. You do it in a year, you give a year advance notice for a couple of reasons. It gives people a chance, one, to understand what do I need to do, how do I qualify. I may be a donor and I may have been in there for 10 years, but I may not get my same seat because when the reseat comes, the priority from season ticket holder down, may not be high enough to get that exact seat. So one is there's an educational process, and two is some people use it as an opportunity to catch up on their Husker Athletic Fund points. You can get points not just by the donations, but longtime ticket holders get points for longevity, for example. So there are ways for people to make sure they build their points so to get higher and higher on their priority list. So when it does come time to pick, you may end up with better seats than you've got right now. We'll tell you another story with volleyball that I think is unique to Nebraska, but it does speak to why we've got a little bit of a log jam, and that is one account that holds 4 tickets in the lower level. Last year did not use their tickets at all, put them on the secondary market for every game, and sold them for about $34,000. I've heard stories of people funding family vacations with selling their volleyball tickets, and that's all great, and we all need to be entrepreneurial, but I would rather those tickets go to somebody who wants to buy season tickets and be a part of it rather than somebody who wants to profiteer off of being in the building. So there's a lot of factors at play on the timing. So we'll do this after this season, headed into the following. I think you're going to see it in football as well, and at some point in time, PBA will see it as well. So it's something that happens fairly regularly if we do it in the right way, and there just so happens that we haven't been doing it that way, so it'll be backed up a little bit.
Okay, wanted to talk a little bit. You posted a post last week showing some updates to the stadium, and there's even more, even since last week, that's happened. They're moving along quickly there.
Well, they have to. We have the big 7-on-7 tournament coming in next week, so they better hurry up and get that field done. We got a little bit of rain, but field looks good. Mm-hmm. I think everybody's really been thrilled with it. There's a lot of field design experts that hit my Twitter and tell me what it should and shouldn't be. It's getting red in those end zones. For every one person that tells me they like it, the next person tells me they don't. But I live in a world where if the sun comes up in the east, a lot of people are upset about it. So it's a part of the territory, right? I think we've all been after getting a little more red present inside the facility. The turf, the Hellas turf, is top of the line. So having it in there and for the umpteenth time, because no matter how many times we say it, people forget it. We are going to put grass in the stadium when it's done, but a lot of the construction work in the stadium will be done from the inside out. And so the idea that you can actually roll this turf back, put heavy equipment on it, and then roll it back down while we have construction in the off seasons means turf for now. The turf will then be relocated somewhere on campus, practice another turf space for whether it's intramurals for us to use, for the band to use, things like that. So a lot of purpose and rhyme and rhythm for everything that's getting done.
I walked by it today. I personally like the red end zones. It really pops. I think it's going to really pop on TV too. If it wasn't that way yesterday, it'll take a while for some people to get used to, but I do think it does pop. Red is, and I say this all the time, red's such a strong color, as much of it as we can use. There's a lot of red in the country, but there's no one branded red like Nebraska is. So I think much as we can display it and put it out there, I do think it's going to pop. Art in Los Angeles on the text line said, Troy is doing a fabulous job. I want to thank him for everything he has been doing. GBR. Art is one of our number one fans out there.
We need to get Art the president's cell phone number and make sure he sends him a text. No, I appreciate it, Art. A little over a year now. This has been wrapping up the first full school year. And I go to bed, with a big smile on my face, and I wake up with a bigger smile on my face. And boy, if you, I've been at enough places and done this long enough to really appreciate everything that is Nebraska. And we talked about the competitive piece, but there's such good people all around. And so I'm just excited about what can happen here. I know it's happened in the past, but I'm really excited about what can happen knowing what all is in place.
Dorothy Lynch Homestyle and light and lean dressing, endless flavorabilities. Got to get to another break. More to come here with Troy Dannon on our 80 hour coming up right after this.
Nebraska soybeans power everyday products, from Goodyear tires and Skechers shoes to soy-based turf and fire suppressants. These innovations replace petroleum and utilize other components of the soybean, leading to more sustainable products worldwide.
I'm Doug Sadoff, a farmer near Trumbull, Nebraska. Thanks to cutting-edge research, soybeans are now in everything from tires to turf. It's amazing to see how these advancements are unlocking new potential for our crops.
Soybeans are a win for every product and everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Experience a redefined car buying experience with Woodhouse Mazda. Visit the Metro's exclusive Mazda dealers and explore our exceptional lineup. Receive 1.9% APR for 36 months or 3.9% APR for 60 months on the full lineup of 2025 Mazda CX-50s and 2025 Mazda CX-50 hybrids. Visit us in-store or online at woodhousemazda.com or woodhouseplacemazda.com today. With approved credit, tax, title, license extra, when financed through Mazda Financial Services. $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires 5/31/25. See dealer for details.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is the most powerful Tundra ever. With its electrifying twin-turbo V6, you got everything you need. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro. Its segment-first performance seats are designed to smooth out the shocks when the ride gets bumpy. The Toyota 4Runner is part mean streak, part wild side, and an all-around icon. Check out that signature power rear window, will ya? Yes, sir, Toyota trucks. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens.
I'm Jason Pinky, a farmer near Craig, Nebraska. Soybeans are vital for feeding our livestock, and they're also a powerhouse protein source for people worldwide. Our world needs protein, and Nebraska soybeans are making a difference.
From tailgate grills to global plates, farmers deliver affordable, nutritious protein to build muscle and energy for everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Welcome back to our AD Hour with Troy Dannon. Got a couple of segments left with him here. We appreciate the texts that are coming in on the text line. Here's a good one for you. Troy, you knew a lot about Nebraska coming in, but what has surprised you the most since you have been here? And that one's from Jeff in Omaha.
You know, I think any alarm bells that were sounding at the time I got hired, they were false alarms. And so, you know, you worry a little bit about the things that you can't really investigate or learn during the job hunt process. And I think a lot of people were raising alarm bells at the time. But as I said, I found the alignment here to be particularly good. There are a lot of challenges. You know, higher ed's under challenge, federally, at the state level. You know, a lot of, but the cooperation and alignment. And alignment is not we're all doing the same thing or thinking the same thing. Alignment is we all want to get to the same outcome, and then it's, you know, my job to convince people that this is the particular path to get to that outcome. The alignment here is spectacular. Campus, system, board, throughout the state. So I don't know if that's been a particular surprise, but and I wasn't worried about it coming in, but I'm surprised it's as strong as it is, given so many people had tried to lead me to believe maybe in the process that it wasn't.
Awesome. Well, you had mentioned earlier expecting some maybe some more TV information for some games coming up this week.
Yeah,
football games.
Yeah, I think the early, the first 3 weeks start times usually come out about now. We already know the week one, so those those other 2 non-conference games I think we'll learn this week, and then the Big Ten strategically starts to announce some start times of other games later in the season that are nationally televised. So I don't know whether we'll learn any others at this point. I've got a couple really good hints of maybe what times we're playing some of the games, just anecdotally. So maybe some surprises ahead, but it'll be nice to start rolling that out. And a lot of games, obviously, they are determined six days out. So we're not going to know everything, but if there are Friday games, those will roll out here soon, as well as those start times, and then maybe selected national games as well.
Well, we've heard news, obviously, over the last few months about Armark coming in and taking over. How are they getting integrated? I know you're excited about what they're going to add to the fan experience in Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, I am. They've when I say hit the ground running, there's a lot to do. And just so everybody knows, yes, Val's has signed their contract, and yes, Val's Pizza is still going to be in the stadium like it always was going to be. There was a lot of hand-wringing and heart attacks over that, but Aramark's in a good place, and I'm glad they've got them locked on board, along with the Runzas and the hot dogs. Where the traditional fare will be there, but there'll be some other things, and they haven't given us their menus yet. But at some point in time, I know for suite holders, we want to do a tasting at some point to show off the menus, and then I'm sure there'll be some public. Here's what the menus look like, and a little bit different fare at the concession stands, and then preparing for a world with alcohol sales. And I think, Tyler, if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be 59 points of sale throughout the building, and maybe outside on Stadium Drive. So getting the logistics of all of that put together, they've had their hands full getting in. It seems like every day that another truck arrives with new equipment. So I look forward to, everybody's gets a little worried about change. I'm really looking forward to this change and seeing how they can elevate the level of what we provide the fans.
So with the implementation of the alcohol sales coming up, there is going to be a change to the policy, the no reentry policy coming up this season.
Yeah, and hopefully this isn't going to be a big surprise, but really, when I say best practice and certainly at our peers in the Big Ten, those institutions that sell alcohol, when you're out, you're out. There's no coming back in. So it's not a matter of going out at halftime and drinking as much as you can to try to make it last for the second half, like happened. So that'll be a big change. And obviously, all the changes, any changes in logistics, will get shared with everybody, including the rules for alcohol. I'm sure we won't be selling after the third quarter and things like that. How many you can buy at any one time, but the reentry piece, we brought Homeland Security in to do a comprehensive safety review, because you're just in this day and age. You want to make sure you're doing things right. Alcohol being a new piece to this, and so they've made a lot of recommendations that will be implemented into our game day process, and that's probably going to be the one that's most obvious to fans.
Well, a fun new addition that's coming up for this season. You got a fun announcement. There's going to be a little bit of a pregame party before kickoffs here at home.
Yeah, so the plan now, we used to use the Hawks Indoor for meals for recruiting weekend. And so all the sports, all the athletes, everyone went in there, all their families. And now with the training table and the Legacy Complex done, those will relocate there, which means the indoor facility's vacant. So the plan is to do a large indoor tailgate there. Playfly will lead the way with that, who's our multimedia partner. And I can't tell you exactly what it's going to look like now, but to have different foods and drinks and music in there and activate that indoor space, I think will be very welcome for a lot of folks.
Awesome. Good stuff there. Let's get to our final break. We got one more segment coming up here with Troy Dannon on our AD Hour. The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
Woodhouse Nissan makes shopping for your next vehicle simple. Lease the new 2025 Nissan Altima SV 4-wheel drive for just $265 per month. Visit us in Bellevue or Omaha today or online at woodhousenissan.com or woodhouseplacenissan.com. 39 months, 10,000 miles per year with approved credit. Tax, title, license extra. First payment and $29.50 down plus $299 doc fee due at signing. Based on sale price of $27,880. VIN number SN387820. Offer expires 5/31/25. See dealer for details.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Want to boost Nebraska's economy and help the planet? It's as easy as filling up your tank. Switch to soy-based biodiesel to cut greenhouse gases by up to 74% and support biodiesel growth.
I'm Greg Anderson, a farmer near Newman Grove, Nebraska, and biodiesel has transformed our farm. It cuts emissions, raises the cetane number, and improves fuel lubricity.
So ask for biodiesel where you fill up. It benefits our air, economy, and Nebraska soybean farmers. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Hey Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Welcome back. Final segment here of our 80 Hour with Troy Dannon. Just got a few more things. Wanted to make sure we had time to get to here with the AD. Troy, I know you guys, the Big Ten meeting's coming up, a lot to dive into, I'm sure. What are going to be the big hitting points, the key things that you guys want to get tackled?
Well, we're actually just coming off of them. So their ACC went, then us, now SEC's meeting, and there's a lot in the news from those meetings. And then Big 12, I think, meets later this week. And, like so much of it, there's a lot of things happening in our worlds right now. And there's just the normal stuff of how's our scheduling model work, how did the integration of 18 schools all together work. But I think a lot of it's just, I kind of hoped tonight was going to be a night where we could just talk about the House settlement and what that really meant for us as things start to play out. But there is no decision yet from the judge. And, as a general rule, from a specifics standpoint, probably not good to speak about a court case until it's come to some settlement. But, so a lot of our time, though, is talking about scenarios and scenario planning. What happens if it doesn't pass? What happens if it does pass? And a lot of us have spent a lot of time wringing our hands about the revenue share and the roster limits, which are very public pieces of the settlement. I will say, to me, the most important part of the settlement is the enforcement arm that is created to enforce the rules. I think we all just want to have trust that if somebody violates a rule, that there's a way to investigate it. The NCAA is really has their hands tied because they don't have subpoena power, but can we investigate it, and are there penalties enough that are going to prevent it from happening? And so making sure that enforcement mechanism is there, because the rules are, we'll all have to adjust and adapt to the rules, but when people cross the lines, we want to make sure we all believe they need to be held accountable, and I'm not sure there's been a lot of trust in that, over time, and so hopefully we get a set of rules that we can all build trust in and have confidence that the guy on the other side of the field is playing by the same rules we are. So a lot of our discussions really about that piece of it and about some of those nitty-gritty operational things that maybe the listeners aren't going to find sexy or interesting, but I think are really key to the future of having a stable environment for college athletics.
And then I'm sure then you just got to pass along what you do know to the coaches that I'm sure are wanting those answers too on how they navigate things right now.
Well, and the settlement's supposed to come effective July 1, and here we are June 1, and it's camp season, right? The coaches are busy. So I think we've done a pretty good job of prepping for what lies ahead. Our coaches have been wonderful. I think we have a good idea if the House case settles. If it does not settle, there's even going to be more tumult for everybody. What do we do? What do we do? And as I said earlier with the golf, this affects every sport. We think about it in the sports that maybe have the visibility and the money, but it affects every sport. And so coaches just want to know what are the rules of our game, no different than what are the playing rules of our game. So they've been really good. Our coaches have been really good, and we've tried to share as much information as we can along the way. But you're right. It's please just give me an answer. I don't care if the answer is, yes or no. Just give me an answer so we can move forward and knowing what environment we're going to play in.
Got a couple minutes left, but didn't want to let you get out of here without asking you, because since you've been on, you've been named to the College Football Selection Committee. What about that opportunity excited you about joining?
Well, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I question, a lot of things, the timing and whether it was good for our football coach and whether it was good with our president, and they all signed off on it, and the people I know that have been involved said, you'd be crazy not to do it. So it's going to be an interesting experience. I'm going to watch a lot of football, and my wife likes football, so maybe we'll actually spend more time on the weekends together watching football. But it does the one protection I like is I get a refrain from talking about the college football playoff format, and because now I think in this role I've got to be very careful with what I say about college football playoff period, but. I do know whatever format they give us, we're going to pick teams and fall in that, and hopefully have a positive impact on the game. And if there's any more pincushion job, it's being the chair of a selection committee, of which I don't have to worry about that. So look forward to it. Neat opportunity. And personally, I think it's nice that Nebraska got the call and got the invitation. And Will Shields has been on that committee, and Coach Osborne's been on that committee, but Nebraska, probably has earned a place in that room. So it's nice that I get to be there to represent the university.
Hopefully you got your TV setup all lined up so you can watch as many games as possible. I have told my wife there's a reason that I want all these TVs, and finally it's paying off for me. All right, 45 seconds here, but just last thing. We had a special weekend again, graduation, always important for this athletics department. Yeah, believe it or not, this is still an academic enterprise, and before it's an athletic enterprise. And so as much as we celebrate everything else, we had 82 grads, 11 countries walk across the stage and collect their degrees. So it's a pretty awesome thing. At the end of the day, and we tell coaches this, you're measured by the next 40 years of your student athletes' lives, not necessarily by the 4 years of scoreboards that you get when they're here. So, I'm very confident that as they graduate here, they're prepared to be successful through the rest of their lives. And when we talk about great coaches, that's what they're there to do. Great stuff. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks. Hour 2 of Sports Nightly coming up.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles, or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
For farmers, sustainability is a way of life. 97% of farms are family-owned, and 95% are participating in conservation programs and using sustainable practices.
I'm Ann Meese, a farmer near Elgin, Nebraska. I grew up on this land, and we're dedicated to being good stewards and leaving it better for the next generation.
Since 1980, U.S. soybean farmers have boosted production by 130%, all while lowering emissions and improving land and water use. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Good evening. I'm David Swotek, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Multiple Huskers from multiple programs received honors this week. Let's start off with softball. 5 Nebraska softball players received College Sports Communicators Academic All-District honors today. The list includes senior catcher Ava Breadwell, junior pitcher Jordan Ball, senior outfielder Abby Squire, sophomore infielder Samantha Bland, and junior outfielder Casey Hoffman. And all but Breadwell are possible to go on to get national recognition since they are eligible to be named Academic All-Americans. Now on to some men's golf action. The Golf Coaches Association of America announced their honorees across 6 regions for the past season, and Rudy Sotron received Ping All-Midwest Region honors. The sophomore from Reunion Island, France, set the single-season stroke average record for Nebraska with 71.7 average over 30 rounds. In his 11 tournaments this past season, he had 4 top 10 finishes among his 6 top 25 placings. And finally, some football news for all those eager fans out there. It was mentioned earlier in the show, Husker football season tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Huskers.com. The tickets start at $420 per ticket for 7 home games, which is the best per game value for fans. Those 7 home games include Akron, HCU, Michigan, Michigan State, Northwestern, USC, and Iowa. Again, those tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Huskers.com. Timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Coming up next is Hour 2 of Sports Nightly, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Here we go. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Dice has the sign. He collects the 3-2 pitch. Strike 3 called. Casey Dice finishes it for Nebraska. The dog pile is on. The Nebraska Cornhuskers have run the table and run it back. Back-to-back Big Ten tournament champions. With the guardian angel watching over this team, Nebraska runs through the field here in Omaha and have earned themselves a regional bid. Nebraska knocks off their second-ranked opponent in as many days. The Cornhuskers shut out the 13th-ranked Bruins 5-0 after 8 masterful innings from Ty Horn.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Nick Hanley, on the Huskers Radio Network.
This 2025 season started with heartbreak for the Cornhuskers, and not on the field. We lost a legend, our leader, the voice of the Huskers, Greg Sharp, and this season has been dedicated to him. It was an aggressive schedule, one of the toughest I can remember. That, paired with some crucial injuries, led to some unsteady ground this team was standing on in March. It was about that time Will Bolt and this Nebraska coaching staff began preaching the postseason mentality. The toughness Nebraska has shown over the last 2 months has led to 5 consecutive Big Ten Series win and a berth into this Big Ten tournament. Now, 3 straight victories into this tournament, one of those over the number 4 team in the country. Nebraska has a big test in front of them today, and they'll have to get a victory over another nationally ranked team. It'll be required if they want to extend their season past today. 74 RBIs for him on the year that leads the team. First pitch from Horn, that's hit into the right center field gap. That's a problem. Bolin giving it a look. He runs it down. Unbelievable catch in front of the 375 mark in right center field. Robley hobbling a bit as he makes his way to the Husker dugout, but he just took 2, maybe 3 bases away from LaVue. Huskers have runners on the corners and nobody out. Stump's first pitch. Carey swings and rockets one down the right field line. It is a fair ball down into the corner. Swanson's going to score. Sanderson to third. He'll hold up there. Dylan Carey and the Huskers draw first blood on an RBI double. 1-0 Nebraska. Second and third, nobody out for the Huskers. Here's the pitch. Nunez squares to bunt. Pulls it back. It's by the catcher. And down the line to score is Sanderson. 2-0 Nebraska. Stump to the belt. The 0-1. Stokes swings, bounces one to the right side. That's in his right field for a base hit. Nunez going to try to go first to third. Now throws on the brakes. Wins the race back to the bag. Carey scores. It's a 3-0 Nebraska lead in inning number 2. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball, chopped to short. Carey fields, throws the Brumbaugh for one. Throw on the run. In time. It's a double play for Horn and the Huskers.
He's had a really solid freshman year. Not an everyday starter, but has been the DH for all of the games here in the Big Ten tournament except for the Michigan State game. He turns on one to right field. This one is going back. Devin Nunez leaves the yard. A 2-run bomb. And Nebraska takes a 5-0 lead. Ty Horn set. 1-2. Swing and a miss. And look at the emotion by Ty Horn. Little stare down back and forth between Chalowski and Ty Horn, but 20 wins the battle. Winds and deals. Swing and a miss. Got him. Ty Horn letting them know. Husker Nation right behind him. Out of the jam.
Here's the 3-2. Got him. Look it. Strike 3. Call is sat down. Big first out of the 8th. Horn just dotted him up. Horn has the sign. He comes set. And the 3-2 pitch. Popped up. Playable. Shallow left. Carey makes the call. Backing up. And he makes the catch on his 118th pitch. Ty Horn has 8 shutout here in the championship.
For me, this is probably the most gratifying championship team. I mean, this is hyperbole, but the emotion was real. It was raw for me. I'm usually kind of just a fist-pumping, fiery guy, and this one brought tears to my eyes because this is so much more than baseball for these guys. This is a lesson in life that when somebody tells you can't do something or it looks like you're at your darkest, you got a choice to make, and these guys chose to galvanize and do it for each other, and that's what I love about this team.
Here we go. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Dice has the sign. He collects the 3-2 pitch. Strike 3 called. Casey Dice finishes it for Nebraska. The dog pile is on. The Nebraska Cornhuskers have run the table and run it back. Back-to-back Big Ten tournament champions. With the guardian angel watching over this team, Nebraska runs through the field here in Omaha and have earned themselves a regional bid. Nebraska knocks off their second-ranked opponent in as many days. The Cornhuskers shut out the 13th-ranked Bruins 5-0 after 8 masterful innings from Ty Horn. All eyes now on Selection Monday tomorrow afternoon.
This is not the culmination of our season. This is, hopefully a first step. And, we've proven that we can run off some wins in a row with our pitching staff and our team offense. Anything's possible.
Wow. Chills all over. What a special weekend for Husker baseball with Nick Hanley. I'm Jessica Coody. Welcome back. Hour 2 of Sports Nightly. I don't know what else to say, but wow, Nick, what a special week up there in Omaha. ×2 now back-to-back for Husker baseball. They love playing up there in Omaha.
Absolutely. I mean, 9 wins in a row now at Charles Schwab Field. And all those 9 games where you're facing elimination. And so it's remarkable. And there are so many different ways. You and I spent that entire month of March talking about, could this team get pointed into the right direction? Could they, pick up those key at-bats? Could they see that overall team batting average improve? All kinds of things that I think we go back to. That's why I bring up that part of it, is because the UCLA matchup, when we go back to when they played in March, that marked what I think was really rock bottom for this team offensively, and even still trying to figure out the consistency on the mound and everything in between. just didn't know where this season was headed. And for any of us who might have doubted the Will Bolt culture, shame on us. I think that's exactly what you saw in Omaha this last week, is a team that is resilient, a team that even in the tournament was thrown a couple of different injuries to key guys, and yet they still overcame, responded, and back in the winner's circle in the Big Ten tournament. To say it was anything short of remarkable, I think would be completely inaccurate, because that's exactly what it was.
Shout out again to Josh Hilkelman, who put that recap together. He had a lot of great stuff to choose from in editing that piece. Did want to give you and Ben a shout out for how you painted the pictures all week. I got to imagine that's a dream come true, getting to call a scenario like what you guys just went through.
I know for Ben, and with the circumstances last year where we know when Greg was healthy enough, you'd get him in the booth, and in some way he was able to have enough strength on the championship game a year ago. It just felt like it was all meant to be. For Greg to have that strength, to be a part of that game, and to call a championship, and just the emotions from that one. I don't know how much Ben maybe had a chance to soak in the environment as much as I think maybe this year that he did. And I'd never seen a Nebraska game with that many people as far as broadcasting it. The only time I'd actually ever witnessed that was being at the championship game, and also seeing him in the College World Series going back to 2005. But there were several moments. My wife was there with my son, and there were a couple times that she'd text, ask how everything was going, and there were probably 3 different occasions I said, I just have goosebumps. This is just unbelievable. And it was even before Nebraska got on the scoreboard. The Go Big Red chants, the clapping for every 2-strike count, this base, not just the Husker fan base in general, but just a baseball savvy crowd as well, understanding the situations and when they really needed to pick the team up. It was a dream. There's no doubt about it. And I think it made our heart even more full, knowing that this season was dedicated for Greg Sharp. And at times you wondered, man, what a tough season to dedicate to an absolute perfect man and legend in Greg Sharp. And then, sure as heck, just when you think that the season's going one direction, and his presence again felt, you and I talked about the Michigan State game at the end of last week, even just those moments, I just felt like, yeah, he's definitely watching, he's smiling, and he's proud. This team was just amazingly resilient throughout this year, but especially in Omaha as well. And it's just, yeah, there's times I just kind of walking on cloud 9 Sunday night, still in disbelief that it happened, and still in disbelief that I was packing for a regional. But I am so excited and so happy to be along for the ride.
You and I talked about this, Ben and I talked about this last week, but when you point to, some of the big feats of this baseball team throughout the season, there's been different heroes that have stepped up at different moments, and you saw that again over the course of a run to another championship. There's many guys that you can point to that were like, wow, that was impressive. Wow, that was important. Wow, they couldn't have done it without this guy. But is there one single-handedly performance, I guess, that you can point to that you were the most impressed with, that you were the most excited about to see over the course of this last week?
This last week, it's probably choice 1A and 1B, and that's the effort from Jackson Brockett against Oregon, and then the effort from Ty Horn against UCLA, because they're equally important. But if you look at the type of years that both of those guys have had, they'd be the first to tell you that it wasn't consistent. There were times where they had a quick hook because they couldn't throw strikes or they were getting hit too much. For Jackson Brockett and Ty Horn to just mow down 2 of the most offensively gifted teams in this tournament, and two of some of the most offensively gifted teams in college baseball. For Jackson Brockett to do what he did, and then for Ty Horn, for a guy riding the even more emotional charge than what Jackson saw because of, 7,000 more fans too, was just remarkable. And there were moments in that game where you're thinking, leadoff man got on. This is what opens the door for UCLA, or this is what opens the door for Oregon. And those guys continued to find the right pitch time and time again. And then the defense behind him, especially the middle infield for Nebraska. I got to give a lot of credit to Rhett Stokes for filling in for Joshua Overbeek after he got injured in the Oregon game, because Rhett Stokes definitely had his imprint on those 2 games that he played in against Penn State and against UCLA. But the middle between Caden Brumbaugh and Dylan Carey was spectacular. The amount of double plays that they were turning. But, yeah, Jackson Brockett's that performance against Oregon to get him into that semifinal game, and then subsequently what you saw in the championship game too with what you get from a guy like Ty Horn, who you could see that coming. In the last month, he'd been a lot more effective. He'd started to go deeper into starts, and it all just came together at the perfect time where he was – I haven't had that much fun watching a guy just deal in a long time than I did with Ty Horn. So I think those are your 2 candidates, right? I know you asked for 1, but I think those 2 were remarkable.
You never follow instructions when I ask you a question like that.
It's hard. It's hard because if I bring up Ty Horn's, to get to Ty Horn's performance, Jackson Brockett had to do what he did.
Listen, I think we've seen it on our text line even, but you see it on social media. You've seen it over the course of the season. There's some keyboard warriors that have had some pretty negative things to say about this group over the course of this season. I don't know how to say it other than I'm glad some of them are eating their words here after that performance over the week.
And I think it starts because sometimes I do feel there is a skewed vision of what Nebraska baseball is right now compared to what a lot of people remember when they were playing in the Big 12. Things have changed. It's a lot tougher to get to, say, a regional host bid or to be in a super regional or to get to the College World Series when you're playing in this conference. And that's not to make an excuse for Will Bolt. He wouldn't want any of us to do that for him. He has high standards for this team. But what you're up against now when it comes to recruiting and when it comes to putting the type of teams together that Nebraska had back in the day that were, sitting atop of one of the better conferences in all of college baseball in the Big 12, it's a lot different where you've got the ACC and SEC essentially able to pay NIL money that's extremely competitive to what you see in men's basketball and what you see in a lot of the revenue-generating sports, because there is a major commitment from those conferences for that sport. And so there's that part of it. There's trying to keep some of your best in-state players in Lincoln, despite some of those guys having a decision of saying, hey, do I go play in a conference where I could be in Ann Arbor, Michigan in March where we're waiting to start a game until the real field gets over 28 degrees? Or do I go play somewhere, say, in Lubbock, Texas, or Waco, Texas, or Stillwater, Oklahoma, and play in a conference that is always typically spitting out College World Series qualifier after College World Series qualifier? So there's different challenges. And I know some people don't realize that. And so I think that when there's those expectations, it's hard for people to necessarily roll with the ebbs and flows of a college baseball season. And again, there were a lot of times, I think all of us wondered, is Nebraska going to qualify for the Big Ten tournament? Is Nebraska, okay, they get to the Big Ten tournament, how's this going to go? But again, I go back to what I originally said about anytime you doubt a culture, and I know people sometimes they overuse that. It's kind of a lazy way to discuss a team is by talking about the culture of a team. But that culture, if you didn't see that this last week and see how healthy it is and see how impactful Will Bolt's leadership is and Rob Childress and Mike Sirianni and Lance Arvell and even the operations with Connor Behrens, Derek Roy, I'll go all the way down to Tanner Fowler, Garrett Plumlee. All those guys that has such a major impact and just give anything for the success of these guys and want to put them in position for that and would not allow them to have that March into April slump define the season and to keep everybody pulling in the same direction. That's a strong culture. And what's great about baseball is it's a fair sport. And as long as you when you're a talented team, and Nebraska's a talented team, we just didn't always see it play out that way on a consistent basis. As long as you still continue to move forward in that direction, this sport usually rewards you. As long as you have that type of culture and strong-minded leaders and strong-minded young men. And that was never more evident than what you saw in this last week in Omaha.
Man, we need to give you a pulpit.
I heard the same things you were hearing too, and it does get frustrating sometimes because I do think sometimes there's this warped perception of what Nebraska needs to be to define success as opposed to what their current challenge is, yet they still do get to experience success. You need to celebrate these wins because there's a lot of Big Ten teams. There's teams that, hell, Iowa, going into that final week, needed one win to win the regular season. That's a team that was had a stranglehold of the conference regular season. They end up going 1-8-1 at the end of the year. They're not going to the NCAA tournament. So there's a lot of things. There's something to be said about when you play your way in and you do it in the circumstances that Nebraska did where you lose one of your best hitters and a great third baseman in Joshua Overbeek. He's out for 2 of your most important games. And then you lose a guy that has just been on the upswing in Robbie Bolin in the first inning of the championship game. Yet you overcome it. Like that to me is a strong culture, and that is that next man up mentality.
All right, we got to get to a break here on Sports Nightly, but coming up, I want to dive into the regional matchup as the Huskers are headed to North Carolina. We'll take on OU on Oklahoma on Friday night. So I want to dive into all of that and look ahead to the postseason here. But I wanted to give this team its due time because what an incredible week and the fight that they continue to show and to get themselves into the postseason and play into it. Again, congratulations to Will Bolt and company, and congratulations again to you and Ben on a great call all week. Hey, Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Back with more coming up after this.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the 9th inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect that water is the reason parts of your concrete have gotten so uneven. Walkway tripping hazards, sinking pool deck, cracked driveways are dangerous threats to everyone's safety. But there's one way to learn how your concrete can be lifted. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Nebraska soybeans power everyday products, from Goodyear tires and Skechers shoes to soy-based turf and fire suppressants. These innovations replace petroleum and utilize other components of the soybean, leading to more sustainable products worldwide.
I'm Doug Sadoff, a farmer near Trumbull, Nebraska. Thanks to cutting-edge research, soybeans are now in everything from tires to turf. It's amazing to see how these advancements are unlocking new potential for our crops.
Soybeans are a win for every product and everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Your next adventure begins at Woodhouse Toyota. Browse our current selection of vehicles and take advantage of current offers going on now. Receive 4.99% APR for 60 months on all 2025 Toyota Tundra inventory. Shop in-store off Highway 281 in Grand Island or online at woodhousetoyota.com. Woodhouse Toyota. Let's go places. With approved credit, cannot be combined with Toyota customer cash rebate. Not valid on TRD Pro or Trail Hunter trims. $299 doc fee due at signing. Tax title license extra. Offer expires 6/2/2025. See dealer for details.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Welcome back to Sports Nightly with Nick Hanley. I'm Jessica Coody. We were talking about the Husker baseball Big Ten title. They go back to back. Huskers do in the Big Ten tournament. So punching their ticket to the NCAA tournament and hearing that their I guess their destination would be at North Carolina with OU and Holy Cross. Nick, what was your reaction to that?
I think the reaction was, why not? I think, because when you've gone through what Nebraska's gone through from a schedule standpoint, I don't think there's going to be anything that completely overwhelms you. Now, here's some of the regionals that would have made me a little bit more nervous because of the fan base. I think going to Alex Box Stadium in Baton Rouge, that's going to be tough. I mean, that's essentially a Husker-type crowd, the LSU fans, and the way that they support that baseball program. So that's tough. I thought Fayetteville, Arkansas would have been tough. We experienced that in 2021, and Nebraska damn near pulled it off too. But again, when you have that true home field advantage, that's tough. Now, North Carolina fans will show out too, but you got to get to them first. As far as the matchups itself, I think you're looking at teams that are not overwhelming offensive clubs. And when I say that, Oklahoma, for instance, they are a team that is getting it done on the mound. They've got a couple of guys that can deal. It's a team that offensively they're pretty modest. Now, again, they have that ability, but it's a team that's averaging a little more than 6 runs a game. So they're very similar to Nebraska from that standpoint. North Carolina is another team that they've got a couple guys in their lineup that can slug a little bit. But for the most part, it's more of a pretty solid contact hitting team with another good staff. So Nebraska, I think where their biggest challenges are going to be is going to be on the mound or what they're facing on the mound. But I go back to what they faced in the Big Ten tournament. Landon Stump was on a heater for UCLA coming in. Nebraska doesn't even let him get out of the second inning. Joseph Jurwa, Big Ten Pitcher of the Year. Nebraska gets on him in the 6th. And you look at Grayson Grinsell from Oregon. He had been dominant the entire season. and Nebraska was able to get on him early as well. So I look at those types of challenges, and I just don't think there's anything that's going to overwhelm Nebraska on the mound. But I think just overall collectively now, Holy Cross has a couple of guys that can swing it a bit, but again, they have more on the mound. And the interesting thing about Holy Cross, if you look at their numbers, that is a team that if they get on base, oh my goodness, do they try to bully you. They've got 3 guys with over 20 stolen bases this season. So that's a team that if you get into a matchup with them, you have got to limit the free passes and not allow them to get on the base path because they wreak havoc on the base path. So, but I think the theme of the challenges that Nebraska is going to see from any of the 3 teams is first and foremost on the mound. There's nothing in this regional that I'd say, whoa, now that team just absolutely mashes the baseball, because really those 3 teams just that's not their forte. That's not their path to success in getting to this regional.
Do you worry at all about, you can go a couple ways when you pour your heart and soul into making a run in a tournament for all sports, right? And some of you can use it as momentum going into a postseason and the magic continues, and some it can just be a little bit of a letdown once you get there. Do you have a feeling either way what this could be for this Husker baseball team?
I think this team is having the time of their life. And I don't think they're satisfied with it. I think they've now seen that they can go on a run. They can win consecutive games, and they can do so against elite teams and elite pitching, and they can have the answer. This was what this team was kind of supposed to be like earlier in the year. So I think the fact that they're here, they don't feel like it's a Cinderella story. I think they feel like this is the standard that they held, and they had to work their tails off to get there, but this is where they expected to be. I think they expected to be maybe a 2 seed as opposed to a 3 seed at the beginning of the year if they were to be in a postseason NCAA regional, or possibly a host. I think that was always the goal this year, but they find themselves back where they figured they would be. That's why it was so interesting when we talk about, their goals are still in front of them when the Big Ten tournament started, and I think a lot of people rolled their eyes at that. I think people didn't think that, well, yeah, they're not going to string that many games together and win a Big Ten title and get that automatic bid because that was the only way that they were going to go. But, I mean, technically their goals were still in front of them, so they've reached that goal. They're in the NCAA tournament. I just don't think this team has that in them. I don't think they have letdown in them. I mean, when we talked about it last week, the different scenarios that play out for this team, I just don't think they have it in them to drop to a knee and yell surrender. It's a tough-minded team. I'd say that. Now, again, what does that mean from the result? I don't know, because these are 3 very good teams, 2 very solid teams, and Holy Cross, hey, they're there for a reason as well. So I just think that for Nebraska, they're welcoming the challenge. I love what Riley Silva had to say yesterday where, he says, absolutely 100% we're going to go on a run. I mean, they're confident because they felt last year that they didn't get the job done. And there's so many people from that team a year ago that were flying high going into that regional. I think this is a more focused group that is exciting and is improbable in some ways that they got back into the Big Ten championship winner's circle. I think they feel like, okay, good, now we can go take care of business in the regional when we didn't do it a year ago, because that's what the seniors and this upperclassmen team set out to do.
Great stuff, and we will continue to dive into all the matchups and dive into the Oklahoma lineup and what that matchup looks like over the next couple of days. Ben and Nick will be with the team leaving tomorrow, right? So you'll actually be there and be able to get some great content for a Thursday night show. I know Ben's scheduled to be on the show tomorrow, so we'll continue to dive into this. But did want to make sure we have plenty of time to dive into the softball super regional weekend as well. So we'll talk about that here on the other side of this break. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Your next vehicle is waiting for you at Woodhouse. With over 20 locations and a variety of brands, Woodhouse offers everything from reliable trucks to family-friendly SUVs. Whether you're looking for a Nissan, Mazda, or Infiniti, our team is here to help you find the perfect fit. Enjoy a seamless car buying experience with our expert staff and exceptional service. Visit Woodhouse today, where quality, selection, and customer satisfaction come first. Or get started online at woodhouse.com.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Exarban Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
Sophistication meets performance in your new vehicle from Woodhouse Cadillac. Explore special financing and exclusive offers happening now. Receive $4,906 in savings plus 4.4% APR for 36 months on the 2024 Cadillac XT4 Sport. Visit us in-store or online at woodhousecadillac.com. With approved credit, tax, title, license extra, plus finance with GM Financial, $299 doc fee due at signing. Courtesy transportation vehicle, 3,237 miles. Offer expires 5/31/2025. See dealer for details.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your crawl space and damaging your home. Musty smells, sagging floors, mold are just a few signs your crawl space is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Your Midwest Ford dealers believe value should drive everything we do. And with employee pricing, you pay what we pay. For 11 days only during the Memorial Day Sell-a-thon, the deals are even bigger. Get employee pricing on Ford's best-selling trucks and SUVs. But hurry, this value-driven offer is only during the Memorial Day Sell-a-thon. Get employee pricing and 0.9% APR plus $3,000 cash on a Ford F-150. But hurry, it all ends June 2nd. Go to your Midwest Ford dealers today. Driven by value.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody with Nick Hanley. I've had a couple of questions about this, Nick, about asking when the Player of the Year announcement is coming for softball and if Jordy is indeed the winner of that award. I thought it was tomorrow, the banquet. There's always a banquet that they announce the Player of the Year honors at, and it's right before the start of the Women's College World Series. I thought it was tomorrow. It's actually happening right now. So we are awaiting word on if Jordy Ball is the National Player of the Year. I'm told that if it comes while we're still in the air, they'll pass it along, so we'll be able to let folks know here on Sports Nightly. But the banquet started at 6 o'clock, and so it is expected to be announced here, I would imagine, any minute now. We will know. And we've been talking about this, and I think there might be some confusion. And I even on my timeline, I've seen it too. I think it changed. The voting changed this year, that all of the voting had to be in before the postseason started. In years past, that's been different, where it happened after the regional weekend. But this year, all of the final votes were in before the postseason started, which I thought was maybe a little bit detrimental to Jordy. As great as she's been, I think if people would have seen her on that national scale on regional weekend, she's hands down the winner of this award.
Yeah, the regional was video game numbers. And then you and I were talking about this during the commercial break. This was great exposure for that softball program, but especially Jordy Ball, with having the A-cast there for ESPN and the amount of features that they did on Jordy Ball in all three games. You saw those things air in all three games. And so clearly she was getting a lot of positive exposure. That if there was a softball world out there that hadn't yet heard about how good she was as a two-way player as opposed to an elite pitcher in the circle when she was at Oklahoma and Nebraska, then you got a chance to see that, and her contributions in the Super Regional as well. Then you got to see her speed going from first to home on that game on Friday night as well. So you saw the speed, you saw the arm, you saw the bat, and you have Jessica Mendoza and the rest of them just breaking it down on how truly different and special that type of player is. If you're hearing that and you hadn't yet voted, it'd be tough not to vote for Jordy Ball.
Well, just, man, after that win on Friday, I was like, man, they're going to Oklahoma City. You jump out to a win there, and I know Tennessee, they documented this on the broadcast too, how many games they had to come back and winning after losing the Friday night game and then winning Saturday, Sunday. And Carlin Pickens just got it going, and it's been documented there. But I love the messaging too from this team. If you hear a couple of the sound bites, obviously it was a great season. They did a lot of great things, but you get a sense too that they had a lot of belief that they were going to advance and get to Oklahoma City. And despite maybe everybody else in the world counting them out, in that locker room, they fully believe they had the potential and the talent to be able to punch their ticket to Oklahoma City. And I guess the good news is, while they were disappointed because they felt like they didn't even play their best softball out there, disappointed, I know, but you get some valuable experience, and there is a vast majority of that team coming back going into next season.
Yeah, and they talked about hitting the ground running as soon as they set foot in competitive games next year, which I loved. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of that tone that Harper Murray had after Nebraska lost to Texas in the national championship 2 years ago, where some people were, upset that she was being that blunt and confident. But why wouldn't you be? You know what you're coming back with. You know the level you played at. You know that you were on the doorstep of going to the Women's College World Series, and you know the type of softball that you can play day in and day out. And like you said, Jessica, for a team that felt like they didn't play their best overall, and give Tennessee a lot of credit for that. So there's no reason this team should not have that type of swag, that type of confidence going into the following season. I thought it was really interesting after that first game. And at first I kind of thought, man, this is a little bit more of a early surrender by Tennessee on Friday when Karen Weekly when she was interviewed. She brought up exactly what you said, Tennessee and the amount of times that they've lost a Friday or Thursday game and came back and won so many SEC series. She brought that up immediately, but to me it came across as, boy, she's already waving the white flag in this one on Friday. But again, that was a coach that knew her team and knew the bounce back that they had. So good on her. And Tennessee was, hey, they were they were the worthy champions of that super regional. But I think that when you come that close, it drives teams. And when you have the ammo coming back like Nebraska, it's okay to dream bigger, that you hope you're in that stage again next year, but maybe it's at Bullen Stadium as opposed to on the road in a super regional.
Well, it's in softball player of the year is Bree Ellis of Arkansas. I'm sorry, I know I'm a homer, but I just can't help but think that's a little bit of that SEC bias. And there's no doubt, there's just no way there's a better player in college softball than Jordy Ball. I just don't think that, a lot of the voters are going to be high on the SEC players. They also have a little bit bigger of a platform with a lot of the softball games being played on Big Ten Plus. And so maybe not as big of a platform for Jordy, but I'm disappointed for her. But, as much as she, she will say it was a team award. She'd give a lot of credit to her teams. It is really amazing that these awards don't mean as much to her. Not to say that she doesn't appreciate it, but she is just all in on the team, and that's what's most important to her. I think probably the fan base is going to be more disappointed for her than she is because it just that those things are not the ones that are most important to her, is winning those individual accolades. But I'm sorry, it's gonna take a lot of convincing for me to believe there's a better player in college softball than Jordy Ball.
More motivation than two, right? I mean, there you go. As we're just talking about the bad taste in the mouth from this team winning that Friday game and just being one game away from winning that super regional, going to the Women's College World Series in the way that this team is talking about next year. Now maybe you feel like a teammate of yours was slighted, because I know everybody that wears that uniform 100% without even hesitation feels very confident that the best player in college softball plays on Nebraska. And so sometimes when it's an award where you feel like your teammate was slighted, that's also motivation going to the next year. And look, this is the thing about Jordy Ball. The maturity, the perspective that she has, I think she's a very reflective type of athlete. I think a lot of what she went through last year in just the physical therapy and rehabbing from the ACL, I think allowed her to have a different perspective. But I think, like you said, Jessica, I think if she would have won that award, she would have accepted it. It would have humbled her, but I think she would have still been disappointed because they're not playing in Oklahoma City. And that's exactly what she wanted for this team. You take the awards, you appreciate those awards after the season or after your college career is done, and you really understand how big of an accomplishment that is. But here's the other thing about Jordy Ball. She's comfortable in her own skin. She knows how good she is. She doesn't flaunt it or anything, but she knows. She's a confident student athlete. And I don't think this is one of those discouraging moments where she feels like, whoa, you guys think someone's better than me? Because she doesn't need that. She doesn't need those types of awards to validate the type of player that she is. But obviously, I'm with you. I think it sucks because I just don't think there's a better player in softball. But again, you can call us homers if you want, but I'm right there with you. I think there are advantages of playing in certain conferences and exposure for some of your really, truly elite athletes compared to conferences like the Big Ten.
I mean, her stats are comparable to the pitcher that was a finalist and the hitter that was a finalist, and she was the only one that does both. I just don't know how you can argue either way. And also, Arkansas is not in Oklahoma City either. They got bounced by Ole Miss, so not like you can have that argument either. Not that it mattered, that vote was already in, but don't get me started, people. Don't get me started. Hey, Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee, dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Back to wrap up the show next.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10x top prize odds, 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
In the heartland, where ambition thrives, there are those who are made and those who are made for more. Just like the Huskers on game day, Kloss, a leading producer of ag equipment, unleashes the power of ambition in the field. Discover why our cutting-edge machinery and unwavering support aren't just a promise, they're a commitment to your success. Because at Kloss, we know you are made for more. Visit your Kloss dealer or CLAAS.com. Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts. Your Midwest Ford dealers believe value should drive everything we do. And with employee pricing, you pay what we pay. For 11 days only during the Memorial Day Sell-a-thon, the deals are even bigger. Get employee pricing on Ford's best-selling trucks and SUVs. But hurry, this value-driven offer is only during the Memorial Day Sell-a-thon. Get employee pricing and 0.9% APR plus $3,000 cash on a Ford F-150. But hurry, it all ends June 2nd. Go to your Midwest Ford dealers today. Driven by value.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Welcome back. Final segment here of Sports Nightly. We went on our round even throughout that commercial break, talking about Jordy not winning Player of the Year. I know, again, Husker fans will be a lot more disappointed probably just because we know we're a little bit biased maybe, but hardcore fans of Jordy Ball and have seen what she can do. But hey, here's the good news. She's got another chance to win it again next year. So, yep. All right, here's what's on tap, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Coming up, NCAA Track and Field West prelims for Husker Track and Field. So it starts tomorrow, May 28th through the 31st. And how about this? Record-setting field for the Big Red. This is on the social media account. 30 women competing in the NCAA prelims. Leads the NCAA as the Huskers have the most throwers and jumpers of any school and the most combined male and female throwers with 24 headed into the postseason. Not surprising. I mean, this is a throw school. I think that's been definitely shown here over the course of the last few years.
I want to say something from one of the comments. We were talking about Jordy and the things that she's appreciative of. It was Jim on the YouTube chat that I think said it best. He goes, "I think she's just happy to be from Nebraska." You know, that pride. And I say, amen, Jim. I think she loves this team. She loves being from where she is. And talk about motivation into a following season. I think this. I don't want to say she feels robbed or anything, but I think you got a team that's playing for not only to get back into a super regional but win it, but also make sure that their best player also goes out with that type of an award.
Also continuing what's on tap, presented by Michelob Ultra, we have baseball coming up, which we haven't talked about, haven't said it enough, but 4 o'clock first pitch scheduled there in the first game of regional action against Oklahoma. 3:30 pregame with Nick and Ben. And a little bit of switch up in the lineup here on Sports Nightly tomorrow night. Nick, I've documented it. Jake came on here trying to talk trash that Oklahoma City was going to get beat by Minnesota. It's 3-1. I got a chance to go to Game 5 tomorrow night. So we got a special guest that's going to fill in here on the show because you'll be traveling. Matt Coatney going to take over the mic here for us tomorrow night.
Yeah, and soak that in.
I'm going
be right there.
I'm
That's
going
be
to.
Awesome.
Hopefully it's the clincher.
It should be the clincher.
Yes. So I'm excited to get to be in attendance for that and appreciate Matt Coatney filling in. I know Ben's going to be a part. Nate's going to hang out with Coatney. So we'll have those guys filling in tomorrow, and then we'll be back on Thursday night. You're going to have all the coverage down there with the baseball team as they get set to take on regional action, correct?
Have you talked to Emmett Johnson, by the way?
Oh, I've let him know.
Okay. I figured you did. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, we're going to have a lot going on. I know practice is at 1 o'clock down there on Thursday.
All right, we're wrapping up. Sorry. Talk to you Thursday. Thanks for listening and watching.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need,